We're going live. We are live. And I've got red wine, so we're in trouble.
We're in trouble. Yes. What are we doing today?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. My God. I'm listening to the YouTube, which is not good. Let me just mute that. Okay, so we're finishing off the token stuff, aren't we?
Yeah.
And then we're going to have a look at basically we're going to do some quality improvements because I think we found last week we had a whole bunch of like side effects and co-effects all mingled in, and it was getting, even though we haven't got much code here, it's already starting to get a bit messy. We made some quite big changes and it was a bit scary, So I think we were talking about having some more guardrails for ourselves, some tests, or maybe some specs, or maybe it's a bit of both. So yeah.
You said so I'm familiar with side effects. That's like when you do something and like you write to a disk, or you're basically affecting the world outside you.
Yes.
But you mentioned co-effects.
Co-effects.
And co-affecting functions. What are those?
So a side effect is what you do to the world, and a co-effect is what you expect from the world. So a good example of a co-effect is a clock, like a date or a timestamp or something like that. So
right.
So we aren't side affecting the clock. The clock is side affecting us.
Right. So nice.
Yeah.
So we have this handler function is both, in a way, it's both side affecting and co-affecting.
Yeah, and I think it's like all kinds of the things in Clojure. When we've got side effects or co-effects, usually the best policy is just to kind of isolate them somewhere so they're under our control and they're kind of visible and managed. Yeah.
Yep. Because the interesting bit here is that because we do the co-effect with the time here, then for example, handle signup doesn't have any co-effects.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, so that's all good. Yeah, the only thing, obviously, that's got a side effect because that's updating the database.
Yep. Good. Now, we worked with so our goal is to be able to remove these two reader comments here, and one way we could do that is to is to move them up here. Right? So we say that this is a beta program, and we say that for now you can't sign up. We might have this one. We could also just say that this one renders a, hey, this is a beta thing.
Something like that, yeah. That would be quite nice, yeah.
Yeah.
So we can play around with how we want to minimize the handling, because I think the other thing we said was we might have like 3 accounts, our accounts, and then we'll gradually invite people on. So having a sign up is okay, but it should be by invitation only.
Yep. So what we could say is something like we have a page which is, this is right?
Yeah.
So let's go somewhere like here, and
I mean, even saying it's a beta feels a bit grandiose.
Yes. Um,
Pre-alpha, I would say. I mean, definitions, by the way. Okay, just to be a bit boring. My understanding of alpha is that you're not feature complete, but you have got something that is kind of like viable and usable.
yeah.
We're not there yet, I think. And then beta is you are feature complete, but you expect bugs.
So now it's impossible to sign up here.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Mm. Of course, we could be really nice, and we could say that the sign up form also is this is a beta,
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Whoever stumbles across it, they'll
Yeah,
get. Yeah, that's good.
good. But there's like we also talked about some cleanup and stuff, and I think you put a sort of um, a limit at about two, like a namespace with 200 lines of code is starting to become a little bit unwieldy.
Yeah, I think what we said was if you, I didn't know about these Norris numbers, and you kind of introduced them to me, and I thought, oh yeah, it's actually pretty good.
Yep.
And given the fact that I think some people use 2000, I think for like C or Java or something, and given I feel like if we're doing it right, we probably have a 10-1 win over those languages.
Yep.
So 200 seems about right, but none of these things are exact sciences. So, but yeah, I mean, we definitely know we're getting messy at this point, don't we?
Yep. So I was
So
curious, should we create a UI namespace at least? That's the one thing that's hurting me the most, right? Is
should
all the hiccup we have at the top.
just before we do that, just so I'm we're on the same page. Haha. Um, did we actually finish the token reset stuff?
Yes, we did.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. That was slightly off band then. Okay.
Mm.
But okay, good. So that's nice. So we've got yeah, things that can help us to make sure these tokens don't like fall into the wrong hands and then
Yep.
can't be reset. It's good. Okay, so yeah, I think having a UI namespace makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Okay, let's
Do we want to like be funky and say this is like um, a web UI or
let's
HTML?
um it's hiccup in a way. I was just thinking UI, but we can make it web UI. But um for now I was just thinking UI and then rename it as we get more UIs.
Okay, sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So let's make a namespace like this. And where are we here? So this looks like a video. This looks like a UI thing.
Yes.
So this will then be UI, and we would have to say cms0.ui as UI, and we would have to do like this and like this. Then we can evaluate this as well, and then we can go here, and we should be good, right? And this one, that's not a thing that we're interested in, but I think we can say this is a bit scary.
So the Emacs thing, it doesn't support like moving functions or moving
No,
bars into new
not
spaces.
as I'm aware of. And so I use Cider and Emacs LSP.
Okay.
And so Cider is basically working with the REPL that you have running, so it's in process, and LSP is out of process. So that's static analysis of your code, more or less. So basically backed by CLJ Condo. And if I'm saying stuff that's wrong, that's totally on me and not on like that's just my misunderstanding.
Yeah, I think CLJ Condor was kind of what they do, as far as I know, is they use CLJ Condor to scan the namespaces and then use the database of CLJ Condor to do their refactorings or their integration with Emacs. Yeah.
So here, but as far as I know, Clojure LSP doesn't have like a move function to somewhere else. It has a rename, but that, and you could argue that like a full rename should include moving to another place, but I'm not sure if that works or not.
Maybe we'll get some comments from the people who watch to let us know whether that is the case. We've had some nice comments actually from people watching the show, so we appreciate that. Yeah, thank you very much for watching, and keep saying things. We've got a Slack channel called Content Made Simple, and there's a few people that make a few comments. We always like to get the feedback and engage with people, so that's good.
Yeah, and I wanted to so Winky Wooster gave us some feedback on navigating, and also there's a bunch of stuff that in Emacs, this is just straight up Emacs, is meta dot, which lets you go to the definition of a function, and then meta comma, once you jump to the definition of a function, it's put on a stack, and then meta comma lets you jump back.
Okay.
So that's really neat. And normally, when you code with you have your REPL running locally, you can just jump to definition of any function that you have on your class path. So any library that you have, you can just jump to definition in your editor, and that's really convenient. Problem is that doesn't really work here or I haven't managed to get it working when I connect to a remote REPL.
Okay.
Because I guess then the source files are on the other side of that REPL, right? It's on the other side of the network.
Yeah. Okay. So your process is looking at the source files and the local REPL normally, not the remote one.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, again, maybe people have got some advice on how to improve that. That would be interesting. Because
Another thing that I tend to use somewhat sparingly is the debugger.
Mhm.
Um, I use it sometimes if my function is very side affecting or it's like full of co-effects and stuff,
Mhm.
then it's neat to not have to def all the stuff that you need to have at hand as you're stepping through this.
Mm.
But a lot of the times I just resort to print line debugging, I
Sure.
must admit.
You're an animal, but we're all there. We've all been there. And I'm still there with you. So, yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, much appreciated feedback from Winky Wooster there.
Yeah.
Winky Wooster. Yeah.
Winky Wooster.
Yeah.
Nice name.
So, let's just evaluate all of this and then we get some and we got this one as well. And the red squiggly lines here are provided by CLJ Condo, by the way.
Okay. Thank
So
you for
it's
your
basically
service.
saying that, hey, I don't see this thing in the file anymore. Because
Yeah.
what's a little bit scary now is that I've moved the functions out of the main namespace,
Mm-hmm.
but I haven't unaliased them from the namespace or like
Yeah.
unloaded them from the namespace. So they still like they're just floating around in this namespace now without any source attached to them, if you will. But CLJ Condo says like, oh, you wrote this thing and now I can't see it anymore on the file. So it says, meh.
Yeah, it's good.
Yep. So I think that's it for the UI. And that got us away with about 50 lines of code.
So if we go back to this UI thing, because it's
Yep.
sort of like, I think some of the naming is a bit, I think we're going to have to do a bit of bike shedding here because some of the naming is like way off, like bar and stuff like this.
Yes.
I think we could take an opportunity to improve that. Yeah.
Yep. So I don't think really that
The thing about a lot
Okay.
of these functions, yeah, is that they're kind of like not home, but generally they feel like they're aliases for the HTML tag. So I would just call that, line. What do they call it? It's like a line item or something.
Yeah, but I would actually in this case
Yeah, you're just going to inline it instead.
did I miss now?
I wouldn't do that, by the way, because I feel like we've talked about this before, where we know we're going to make this more complicated.
Okay.
So I feel like having something where, we're essentially rendering the list of items on the home
Yep.
screen. We're gonna change what that does pretty soon.
Yeah, so you want to call them just
Let's call them list items, and then we're kind of like,
Yeah, but they actually do now take a video, right?
yeah, okay, videos then. We just call them videos. Yeah, that's what they are, aren't they?
This is a video.
well, it's a video reference, in fact, isn't it? Because the actual video up the top there is, or a video link, or whatever you want to call it.
A video link. And then these are content, right?
Content. Yes.
Yes. That's correct. And why are we not using this one? Yeah, that's correct. Because both the sign up form and the token are not used, right? Because we commented them out.
Yeah. Also, I think the email is not used in the function, so we can get rid of that destructuring.
Yep. Like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the other thing about this is that I feel like calling this a token is also weird naming. Because it's not a token. It's a sort of, it's a message, isn't it?
This one?
Yeah. No, the function.
Right.
It's like some sort of token message, isn't it? Or token, I don't know what you want to call it, but it's definitely not a token.
I agree. But since it's not in running code right now.
Yeah, but there are other ones that are, where we have things that are just named the thing rather than the message.
Yep. So
like that reset token is another good example of like it's reset token. We've talked about this before. It's a kind of like a reset token is some sort of verb or some sort of command, whereas this is really just a message, isn't it?
It's reset token feedback or reset token message, yeah.
Or output or whatever, yeah. Message seems good to me because it's a...
Okay, yeah. Let's see if this works. Reset token message. So we have it here and we have it there. Let's see if this works. Really curious if it does, and it does.
It would be really bad if it didn't,
Yeah, it would. Yep.
I think token, by the way, if you say token message, it will replace it, even though it's within the reader conditionals, because I think it's going to say, "Oh, I see what that is."
Yeah. So this one, let's see if it does. Tree name, token message. No, it did not.
Oh, well, okay.
Another thing that's interesting, this is a bit small to see here, but and this I'll play to your court now.
Okay.
So a lot of so the LSP key bindings, they are like at super L equal. And most keyboards, at least my keyboards, don't have the super key mapped up, because in Emacs you have control, you have meta, you have super and hyper.
Okay.
And I've basically never used super key bindings. So you can see here that I've remapped the code action. I've remapped to meta return, which is more convenient for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got no idea what all of this means, but someone in the audience.
No, it's just that Emacs is like super keyboard, or like you use keyboard all the time to execute commands, right?
Yeah.
And then when you're out of keyboard modifiers with Control and Alt, as it would be in Windows, you have super and hyper in addition.
Right.
Yeah. This is why we need the keyboard for the feet as well, so that we can.
Don't sometimes people like I don't know, they rebind caps lock or something to
Oh yeah, yeah,
various
of
things?
course. So that's one of the first things I do when I get a new machine is that I have to rebind caps lock to be control.
Right. Okay.
And this is because like your most normal Emacs bindings are used there with with control.
Hmm.
So it's really nice to have that just outside of the A for your left pinky
Okay. So
because the control key otherwise is like down on the bottom row, and that's just annoying. And most of us don't write a lot of stuff in caps lock.
sure, yeah. So
Yeah.
you can do your chords more easily with caps
Yes.
lock. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Moving on.
Moving on. Just wanted to like when we're on these chords, right? There's so notice this is hard to see, but now my cursor is somewhere around sign up here. But I can like now I pressed Control A,
Okay.
which is the Emacs chord for going to the beginning of line.
Right.
And Control E is the Emacs chord for going to the end of line. So point being that there's a lot of the applications which understand Emacs key bindings.
Yeah. Sure. I've seen it on terminals and stuff like that as well.
Terminals do that as well. It's readline from GNU that that sort of implements that.
Yeah.
So
So I'm
that's
I'm
why
kind of
we
like
enjoy.
I'm kind of half an Emacs user in that sense because I do use Control E and Control A all the time. So I'm a kind of like tacit Emacs user in that sense.
Yes,
I haven't consented to
which
it,
is good.
but fine.
I was wondering if we should just make another namespace while we're at it.
Okay.
I was curious about moving some of these database things into its own namespace.
I think having the database in its own namespace makes a ton of sense. I think that would be great. Yeah.
Yeah. So, db.clj.
That's perfect. Yeah.
And because I have like both, I have both CLJ refactor and like my setup isn't perfect, so I get two namespaces when I create a new file. So there's like two competing helper thingies going on.
Right.
Yep. So next ID is definitely a database function for us.
Mm-hmm.
And we might be bike shedding over this, but I don't consider these ones to be database functions.
There's no database present there.
Right. So they're queries, right? They're basically
they're
pure
predicates,
functions.
aren't they? Yeah.
Yep. But this one, um,
I think if you've got
right?
a database in the signature, then it should go into the database namespace.
Yep.
That would be a little heuristic,
Don't like
I think.
not this one though, but this one. So now we got all those, and uh, I think are we good? Yeah, I think we are. Yep.
Okay.
So this is basically, and I guess if you were to be really, really, really Jur Atom, I think the database itself should live in the database namespace.
You'll get no fights from me on that one.
Was that?
You'll get no fighting from me on that one.
Okay, then we'll go like this, and
We have a slight problem in the sense that we're now got a namespace referred to as DB and the actual DB called DB.
Is that a problem? I'm just curious. Like, I'm not saying like, is it a tech? It's not a technical problem, right?
No, it's not a problem. It's not. It's not a problem. It's just a sort of aesthetic thing.
Yeah. What's kind of interesting to do is like this is LSP, and this is one of the things that I use quite a bit at work because I tend to like read code and refactor code and move code around quite a bit, and then being able to actually do like this, so I can see where my DB is used is super.
Yeah, find usages.
That's super useful.
Yeah, we've had it in cursive for about a decade, but it's good that it's finally arrived at Emacs. Yeah.
I see. We're at that stage now.
Oh yeah.
But the thing was that this actually, so this worked with LSP. There were some efforts to do this in Cider as well, and Rich Hickey actually provided an implementation for doing this, but it just wasn't good enough.
Wow, that's definitely a sick burn. Yeah.
You could argue. So, so this one is currently used in 10 places, it said. But we don't need this one. And this is interesting, right? Because it shouldn't be referring to the DB directly. Because we're now associating the DB into the request.
Yeah.
So now, so that one and this one actually does look at.
Yeah, that shouldn't do.
No, but it does take it from the DB. Oh, well, I fixed that now, right?
No, but also query one is like dereferencing the atom, and that's not nice, you know.
That's an error. That's actually an error from earlier.
Yeah.
So we're that one and that one should be DBDB.
Yeah, we've got another one as well where we're referencing the database with the atom.
Yep.
Okay, this is a good cleanup exercise.
And I guess this all just shows that we should be writing some tests in the next episode, I think.
Content.
Right, because
why is the content at DBDB?
Hey? Yeah, that's weird. I have let's just let me just get these ones right as well. And this one. Right, because this one here is we're doing this is actually a query. So this could be DB query of DB content and DB all.
I think that's better.
Or
Yeah.
let's just have all as a function in here.
Mhm.
And if we go and look at the implementation of query, so it takes a query function,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So what we can do then is, where do we have our query function here?
Okay.
Make sense?
I would have said identity, but okay. Yeah. I guess
Yeah, but
true was
we're,
because you're filtering, aren't you?
yes, you're filtering.
Yeah.
So we want all of it, regardless of whether it's falsy or truthy or whatever.
Mm. Yeah. I'm not a fan of this, to be honest. But I don't want to. I don't want to like. We'll come back to this because I think the
Yes.
semantics are a bit off. But okay.
Okay. Um, yeah. What have we missed now? I haven't moved the DB over.
That's right. Yeah. And are we going to have to like make a backup of the database before
Why?
we define it?
No, I don't think we have to. Because it
Okay.
will read it from the content. Like it
Okay.
will
So it
initialize
will it
itself.
will reinitialize it from that file. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, that's good, isn't it?
it is.
Oh yeah, we that's why we introduced Duratum in the first place, wasn't
Yep.
it? Sorry, I've had half a glass of wine. I mean, give me a break. Yeah.
Yep. Good, good, good. And I think this is not too bad for now.
Well, it's moved a few things around. I think maybe is what I think we should have some sort of look again at, like you're talking about, like some of these functions seem a bit complicated,
Mm,
which I'm kind of like looking since we're in like quality assurance mode or quality improvement mode. I think we could have a quick little look from like top to bottom of whether we like these functions or not.
yep. Um, yeah. Another thing that I would have liked to do is I would have liked to, and I'm preempting some testing stuff. Um, I would have liked to do something like handler star of Reek.
Okay.
so that now when we come in here, this request has both a timestamp and a user. Sorry, a timestamp and a DB.
Yeah, I think that's nice. I think
Because then
yeah, you can separate it completely from the implementation.
and the good thing about doing it as like this as well is that now you can concoct your own URI, or sorry, your own request
Your own request,
with
yeah.
with the correct timestamps and stuff, so that it becomes less co-affecting and side affecting and stuff, and you can provide your own database
Yes, yes.
to the tests.
Yeah. Yeah, this is good. Yeah. Wherever you've got like co-effects like this, I think it's good to, yeah, like you say, to split it
Ooh.
out.
This one should go to
UI. Yeah.
yes, it should. There. So I guess like the ones which are the most annoying functions perhaps is like these ones, which one might, and handle sign up, which we've now commented out.
Mm-hmm.
They're perhaps the most annoying ones.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
One thing we talked about offline the previous time was that this one here is we use that a couple of places. And what we're actually asking for here is you could argue that we're asking if you're authorized or not.
Yes.
So we could add that, put this in a function by itself and call it authorized, which returns a user if you are and does not if you're not.
Yeah, yeah. I think, and the interesting thing about authorizations is that, like this is an interesting one in the sense that you will only ever this is a design consideration, is that you should only ever see your own data.
Yep.
So there should be no way that you can like have a query that is like produced by another person's user ID. If you see what I mean.
Come again.
So when you say when let user DB query one user partial by token token email, this token in this email must match the user that is. So you kind of like, there's authentication and authorization mixed in here. Do you see what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, because there's I guess this thing here is sort of, that's your authentication. And then the when let here is the authorization.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels a bit weird in the sense that, authentication is authorization in this case.
Yeah, because as long as you're authenticated, you're authorized.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah. But I think personally, I think it would be nice to split authentication and authorization.
Yep. Do you want to pull this out into its own little thing?
Um, what I was going to say, let's do that and to its own little thing now. And then what I was going to
Yep.
say is to wrap up, maybe what we can do is make a little list of things that we want to. So you've immediately went to authorized rather than authenticated, which is fine.
Ooh.
Okay.
Mm.
Um, the thing about authenticated though is that it's a bit weird the way you're doing it because it usually that's a boolean, whereas we want to get a user.
Yeah. But then, yes.
So it's kind of like it's almost like yeah.
But I guess what you could do here, right, is we could do something like this.
Yeah, that would be nicer actually. Yeah.
Then we don't need that one. And let's
Then we can just call that authenticated thing, we can just call it user, or user
yeah.
lookup or something. Or user authenticate actually is quite nice.
You said user authenticate,
Okay, yeah.
and then we could do something like let req.
Maybe we can bind it on the front end. Is that possible? Oh yeah, you're doing it here. Yeah, okay.
Did we need? We
Haven't we
needed.
got DB here?
No, because we're pulling it from and now it starts to become annoying a little bit, but let's go with it. We
But why
say
have you got DB there and DB in other places?
we'll get to that in a sec.
All right, okay.
Because I messed up on my previous refactor.
Okay.
Like this. So now we have this guy here, and the thing that we need now is
I think 110 should be token, by the way.
110. Yeah, that's true. And now these ones don't have to have. That's the whole reason why we went ahead
Okay.
and
Yeah. Nice.
right. So we have this one, and I think we have another one of those, don't we? So that's good. There is an handle upload, I believe. So now we can say like that.
It's a bit confusing, that one, because multi-part params request. You've got as request twice there, and I think that's going to be confusing.
Yeah, well, we're not using the request afterwards here, so we could do like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Yeah. Good.
Yep. And I think that this one should also probably move to the database implementation thing.
Yeah, I definitely want to get rid of that completely, but okay.
Yeah, but let's stick it there for now.
Yeah. It's
Uh,
definitely an implementation detail, which is horrible, but okay.
oh, we don't call it horrible. I thought it was quite neat.
Yeah.
Uh, that.
Never be too proud of your hacks, Eric. Yeah.
This is true. This is true. Good. Um, I think that leaves us in a somewhat better place.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the real question is like if we go like from the top now and we go down the namespace,
Yep.
are things actually will when we like read this namespace from top to bottom again, are we going to have to dive into those other namespaces to make sense of them?
Mm. So this one is fine, I
I
would
think that
argue.
one's fine. Yeah, foo is unneeded. I think
Hey?
the underscore
Ah,
foo is unneeded. I
yeah.
mean,
And we can even do like that,
yeah.
right? Render is, I think that's nice.
Yeah, it feels UI-ish to me, but okay.
Yeah, it's sort of at this bridge between like this is how you get your UI to be um I'm not super unhappy with having it here actually.
Okay.
Because but on the other hand, I kind of also agree because well then we should split it in two in a way. Because
Right.
we want to render the hiccup, but that doesn't necessarily want to know about
Nailed it.
responses and stuff.
Nailed it. Yeah. Yeah, nailed it. Yeah, I think that's exactly right.
So let's leave it here for now.
Yeah, I think we could have, as hiccup or something. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
These are just our query thingies. This one, I would argue, is a little bit not needed now, but I'm happy to let it be as well.
In what sense is it not needed?
It's like the interesting bit is that you're finding content by ID, and um, so I'm not a huge fan of wrapping like queries in their own named thing, but that's I'm fine with that as well. Like I think that this one-liner here stands on its own in a way.
Okay.
But I'm super happy leaving it like this as well. I think this one is probably the worst of all of them.
Yeah. Anyway, running out of time now, but I think we should like put a to-do list to review this handle upload because I think
Yeah.
although it's only like I don't know, it's more than 10 lines and it's got all kinds of things going on. It's got an if in it. It's got all kinds of bindings that are weird. So
Yep.
I think it does require a little bit of improvement to make
Yep.
it a bit more simple.
Yeah. No, because I was looking at this and there's something like you could have had like a constructor for this one, but it also becomes like really basically just what we're doing. Yeah. these ones are sort of like util functions in a way, so they could have been stuck in a util namespace.
Yeah, I think this things like the bytes to hex string and digest, I think I put them in some sort of some sort of digest namespace.
Yeah. We can look at putting them there. And then again, this one is a bit involved again.
Yeah, I mean, I think all this kind of there's some magic occurring, isn't there?
Yeah, all these handlers are that like they need to be re-examined, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we put a little to do to ourselves to re-examine these handlers.
Yeah.
And I was suggesting to you that although some people really hate to-dos because they'd rather have them in Jira tickets. Well, I get that, but we haven't got Jira and we're not going to start using it now. So I think a little to-do is fine.
Like this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's going to be, I think that's going to be episode 8.
Yep. Cool. Shall we leave it at that?
Does it actually work still?
Oh, come on. I was hoping that we broke it in one way or another. Let's just reevaluate stuff. Doesn't seem too great. So that works. This one works, and it worked. So
yeah,
at least we can see the episodes.
And if we click on one of them, we actually get the videos.
We do.
Okay, that's good. I think, that's good.
Yep.
Cool. Okay. So at least we're leaving the episode in a working state, at least, which is good.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I would really, it would be really nice to just run the tests for the namespace and then have some sort of confidence that this thing is actually working.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So like we say, let's do maybe put another to do, which is like so write at least 1 or 2 tests next time around.
Yeah.
Like basic testing, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that would be good material for the next session.
Yes, because it's getting a bit scary. There's quite a bit of functionality, and we're going all over them. So it's it would be nice to have a little bit of safety net on this.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the funny thing about it is that I think we talked about this again offline. Is that if we'd had tests now, it would have been quite painful to do this moving of stuff around. So I think to some extent you want things to settle down a little bit. Some people say, "Oh, yeah, never write a line of code before you might make a test," which to me is extreme. But I think you have to have tests at some point. And so I think this makes a good moment to do it, because we've got some of the basic things in place. We've got some of the basic structure of the code in place. So the tests themselves, if we're going to change the code in the future, it won't be too bad.
Yeah, I would. It depends on what level we're testing at, right? Because if we'd written a test for the handler already, right? You just send it, so we know that we're looking at the URI of the request.
Mm-hmm.
And so we could already write a test which tested that if the URI that we're sending in is gobbledygook, we render all the content that is in the database. And none of the stuff that we have done today would have made us have to rewrite that test.
Well, only in the sense that today we produced a handler star function, you know.
Sure, that's the only thing, right? It's not
oh, it's not logic. There's no logical breaking. Yeah, I
exactly.
completely agree that. Yeah. But sometimes just like, you know, moving code around, you suddenly find, you've got like 25 tests that are broken, and you've got to go through and tediously rewrite or, you know, fix them all up.
Yeah, but I really want to try to write tests in such a way that we're not in that situation.
Yeah, well, that'll be good. That'll be good for us to talk through next time, for sure.
Yep.
Or the time after, maybe. We'll see how far we get.
Yeah, because I guess just wanted to preempt a little bit there, because this one, the handle upload, that one is ugly.
Yeah, it's a beast, yeah.
To write tests for as well, right? Because
yeah.
Like the stuff that it does to the database, that is that's sort of trivial to fix. Like we can supply it with whatever database we want. But you know, this IO copy and the IO copy here, that needs to be mocked out.
Ooh. Yeah, we don't want that, that's for sure.
We don't want to test and write to the file system, I don't think.
Yeah, but we don't want mocks either, you know.
No, so
that'll be fun.
That'll be fun. Let's do the other ones first.
Okay. Yeah, but it's gonna be fun to come to. Yeah, because yeah, the one thing we don't want to do is like mock out an entire file system. That would be crazy. Yeah, that's when things have gone off the rails.
Yeah, because I mean, what you could do here in one way or another is that you could hide this shit behind a protocol, and then you have two implementations of the protocol. You have like your testing one, but that's basically mocking in a slightly different way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would go with a protocol either, but okay.
No, but you could do you could redef IO copy, but then again, you're sort of mocking. So,
well, I think redefs on IO copy is not a mock, in my opinion.
Fair, yep.
Because you don't care about there's nothing that you're doing that has to worry about the file system API.
Fair, yeah. So maybe that's the way to go then, to just redef IO copy when we're running that test.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe there are other ways of structuring this code as well, so that things become a bit, so we can test a few more things in place. But there are some peculiarities here as well in the sense of, when you're doing two things, when you're doing like these are two side affecting things: copying the file system and transacting on the database.
Yep.
That's a very classical problem, where if something goes wrong before you get to the transact, if the machine stops at line 51, it just powers down, then you're left with a copy of the file on the file system, but it's not transacted into the database. So I think those kind of things would also be very interesting for us to talk about, how we can make sure that either both things happen or nothing happens. Because I don't think it's very nice to have these dangling resources.
That's your distributed systems thing, almost. Like,
well, it's more of like Yeah, it is a distributed status thing, but it's also like a stateful thing, because
Yep.
basically we have two states here. We have the file system state, and we have the database state, and they're kind of separated. So even if
Yep.
they're on the same machine, you've still got that problem.
Yep. Yep.
So
Because
yeah,
ideally you wouldn't want to have some sort of distributed transaction, or like, not necessarily distributed, but you wanted to have a transaction around this, right? So either both of them succeed or none of them succeeds.
yeah, exactly. I mean, basically, you want some sort of like a try catch, essentially, where you try these things, and if any of them fail, then you rewind it. Yeah.
Yep.
So I think we should look at that. We should look at that kind of error management as well.
Yep.
So this one function has got a lot of stuff that's fascinating about it, I think. So I'd be more than happy to dedicate an episode to really making this proper. Making this shine. Yeah.
Yep. Cool. Good. Should we leave it at that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is good enough. Let me just move us over to the ending soon stream, and we'll see you all next time.
Yeah.